If somebody could give you a crystal ball or 1,000-foot view on your life and your journey, and how with every interaction, every thought, idea, every mark you make, every artwork you encounter and create, that it's leading to the next, to the next, to the abundance, to the joy, to the feeling of being totally yourself. This is what I want to talk about in today's episode, and how this absolute connection with yourself and what you make and the art that you interact with and the people that you interact with absolutely take you on this incredible journey, and how all these parts are so important towards feeling fulfilled and yourself. And when you feel something, you feel it and it feels right, and it's seeking more of that in life. And this episode has come about because in the last few weeks, I've had profound aha moments, profound connections that have moved me to tears. And I know that this is meant to be. And it's accumulated in me purchasing this incredible artwork from Sally McDonald yesterday. And I actually heard Sally speak on stage at Ceramic Art London. And I'll tell you the story of what happened when she spoke, and it hit me right in the heart. And then I ended up absolutely falling in love with one of her pieces. And here it is, and I now own it. And oh my gosh, I'm absolutely in love. And it just shows the power of art. That's what I want to talk about today. So a bit of backstory before I get to how I bought this piece. So I've been doing some parts work, visualization, abundance work in the last few months, but quite intensely for the last 2 weeks. And it's been incredible because it's really getting me to tune into the abundance everywhere in our lives, and how abundance feels in all its many forms, in relationships, financial, but in the richness of life, in nature, and all of it. And then also what success means to me, and what holds me back more crucially. So I have a vision of how I want to live my life and how I want to feel. And part of that I know is not happening because of my own fears, my own self. And what happened recently, after realizing that I feel like I'm plateauing for a reason, that there's something going on internally, I did some parts work recently and realized that there's a part of me, my 14-year-old self, who was very broken and damaged, hurt, lost, angry, all the things, deep depression. And that part still lives inside of me. And I can feel that part even as I say these words. Now I can feel an ache in my heart as I say those words. But there's many other parts of me that have grown since that 14-year-old self, grown and experienced new things and expanded in ways I never thought possible. But that part is still there. And what happened recently when I did a visualization was I closed my eyes and I saw that 14-year-old self. And I know it's her because when I was 14, I had a tight perm, curly hair, and I had it cut short and it went into a mushroom shape, which, by the way, was my nan's favourite haircut ever. She's still got the picture on her wall. But anyway, I saw my 14-year-old self. And I took her by the hand and we went outside. And I'm kind of shortcutting this story. There was a lot more to it, but I'm giving you the short version as much as I possibly can. And the most extraordinary thing happened, and I had massive insight into why I'm holding myself back. And that 14-year-old self started to grow I was trying to kind of cuddle her in here, and she's like, no. And she started growing really, really, really tall. And I started like laughing, thinking, what on earth is going on? This is crazy. And this is all in my head. These are my thoughts. And my 14-year-old self started shouting, it's safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to be seen. Really shouting it. And in that moment, I had a glimpse into my own kind of subconscious, my own part. And I was like, oh, there it is. There is what's holding me back. And in the visualization, it was almost like an Alice in Wonderland moment, you know, when Alice grows, and also a film called Aliens versus Monsters where Ginormica grows into this 49'11" giant. And it was like that. And so the visualization ended, and then I journaled, and I started to realize that that part inside here, the ache of my heart, is happy where we are right now. Is safe. We have a safe community. We know what we do. Let's not expand anymore, please. I don't want to go any further than this. I don't want to be around people I don't know. I don't feel safe when you're talking to people that we don't know. I don't want to go on other people's platforms. I don't want to go here. I don't want you to, total fear, and doesn't like, not comfortable around people, doesn't trust people, really has a massive trust issue. And I completely realized in that moment, wow, there's a part that doesn't want to be seen. And the next day I did the same visualization. I went back again, saw the same part of me. I projected onto a screen what success looks like if we allow myself to be seen. And success on the screen, the imaginary screen, was me taking my children to places and being able to pay for them to go into clubs, and me traveling to places that have been on my bucket list, and me expanding as a person and feeling so connected and in relationships, and it's deeply connected and joyful, and laughter, and the business grown to a place where we've impacted all these lives, and we have our own charity, and and so and it was like, this is what can happen if we allow ourselves to be seen. And we held hands, and then we grew again, and we grew right up to the stars, and we were kind of in the stars. It's safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to be seen. And then we intertwined and came back down, and I kissed that part, and I said, nothing terrible like that is ever going to happen to you again. I'm stronger now. Oh, it was so moving. But this has been like years in the making of me discovering this part of myself. What was so interesting is that I kind of feel like I've found the next big block for me, and I feel an utter now consciousness of like what I need to do to work on that part, to free myself. And it feels so utterly empowering. And since then, last week I went to a Esther Hicks event, a manifesting event. I went to Edinburgh to meet members of our community. And then I went to the Ceramic Art London show because my friend Sharon was exhibiting there. And I also had a member exhibiting who created this incredible artwork of our community. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So all of this kind of unfolding, and then something else curious happened as well last week when I went to take a shower. I opened up the airing cupboard and went to go and grab myself a towel, and only the nice towels were left. And in that moment I went to grab the towel, I paused and thought, oh, there's only the nice towels left. And I almost thought, oh, I'll go and get one of the dirty ones out of the dirty basket, because I use the 15-year-old towels these towels are too good for me. These are for guests or my children. I would never use those towels. And it was so incredibly insightful in that moment. And it was almost like somebody slapped me round the face with the towel to wake me up and say, do you see what you're doing here? Do you see that there's a part of you, you're not even conscious of it, that doesn't feel good enough to use a nice towel? It's way too nice for me. Why would I use that nice towel? Why would I have that enjoyment? It's like, whoa. So I realized in that moment that there's also a sense of not being worthy. And I've never felt that. When somebody questioned me the other week saying, are you sure there's not a thing around worth and self-worth? I was like, no, I feel worthy. I know I'm worthy of all my success. Okay. No, I'm not. And so I feel as I'm starting to unpick this, there's more and more things coming into my awareness, like, wow, and it's not coincidental. And so I then attend the ceramic art show, having had these occurrences and starting to notice things about myself. And I noticed on the first day of being at the show that my wonderful friend Sharon always introduces me with so much positivity, and I feel like she puts me on this big massive pedestal. And how much when she introduces me like that I then tend to go and put myself down to the person she's introduced me to. Let's just bring this down a few notches. And I again noticed that. I thought how interesting that I feel the need to bring myself back down to a level that, don't get your hopes up here. I'm not that good, And I was like, wow. So there was a noticing again. And at that show in the first day, I enjoyed it, but there was a sense also of, I didn't feel like I was being myself. And I think for me, having spent 10 years in front of a computer screen, basically talking to like thousands of people from around the world now, that and especially after COVID too, in the pandemic where in-person stuff stopped, and I actually really liked being a recluse during that time. I think going out again and doing things in person, I found it difficult, if I'm going to be honest. Not so much with my friends and my close knit community, and now I understand why, because I feel safe. And that part who doesn't like to be stepping out of our comfort zone doesn't want to be in these other places. And it's been like profound. So I realise now that on that first day, a few reasons I felt like I'm not really being myself. I didn't feel like I was in flow, I didn't feel like I was just being relaxed and just having conversation. It felt a bit forced. I felt like I was putting myself down, It didn't feel right. I thought, this doesn't feel right. Why am I putting myself down? And the next day we were having our member meetup. Oh my gosh, going to tell you more about that in a moment. That was absolutely amazing. So we have nearly 40 of our United Art Space members meeting up in London, and it was just phenomenal. And so before I go into that though, because I want to talk a bit about the ceramic show that I was at this weekend, I just want to finish this bit off about my journey, because when I was meeting our members, we have a pineapple theme. And the pineapple theme came a few years ago because I always talk, where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. And one year, after talking about red cars, because I bought a red car and then I see red cars everywhere, and there aren't more red cars, they're there. We just see them now because they're in our awareness. And I got bored of red cars, so went to the shop to go and find a watermelon, and they hadn't got any watermelons in, and I picked a pineapple up randomly and thought, I'll use the pineapple as a prop, and I will do a workshop teaching people that if we focus on a pineapple in the next couple of weeks, like every day we bring our awareness back to this pineapple, you will start to see pineapples they will come to you, and they've always been there, but now you're seeing them. And this is the same for our goals and where we're going and what we want from life. If we think about it every day and we put it into our awareness, we will see the opportunities there because they're already there. So we used the pineapple in the most amazing, incredible event. People were sending pineapples, and it was just fantastic. And the pineapple theme has continued and grown. And so what happened then was our members were meeting up and said, hey, why don't we all wear a pineapple badge so that we can see each other, because there's so many of us meeting up. What was incredible is, like, there's all these people walking through London with pineapple badges, and some people even met each other on the tube and clocked a pineapple and went, hey, are you part of United Art Space? Yes, good to meet you. It was just absolutely incredible. And I decided to wear my pineapple fascinator, which I have to give absolute credit to Marita Knutson, who's part of our community, who I asked last year for my book launch. She makes these absolutely wonderful headpieces, whether she could make a pineapple. If you're listening to the podcast, if you actually want to see the video version of me recording this, you can. The link will be below. And so I decided to wear this to the show. And something incredible happened that day when I decided to wear the pineapple on my head. One, it was this sense of so many reasons. Marita made it for me, so there was a real beautifulness there. It's a really, really an amazing work of art on my head all of a sudden. Like, it's stunning. And I felt different. I mean, I've got a pineapple on my head. So all of a sudden, it felt fun, and I felt myself change. I felt my shoulders kind of rise, and I felt like I was going to walk in there and own it. All because I put a pineapple on my head. It was crazy. And that day was absolutely phenomenal. I felt like I was being myself. I had amazing conversations. One, because I felt different, so I'm radiating differently. So people were more open, receptive to talk. I'm speaking more with confidence, not like, oh, I'm a bit crap. Oh, you know, you shouldn't really follow me on this. It was different. I felt different. So I had meaningful conversations, but also with a pineapple on your head, it's an amazing conversation starter. It's like there were so many people coming up to me. And Marita, I hope you listen to this and just know how incredible it is that you create this art form. And this is why art is so powerful, because it's the connector, it's the bridge, it's the 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 thing we can talk about that brings us together. The curiosity, what are these feathers, how was it made, did you make it, wow, why are you wearing it? And then the other awesome thing, I have to give a massive shout out to our members that were there that day, because everybody was sporting these pineapples, and every stand that I went on, somebody identified the pineapple and went, oh, you're part of the pineapple group. And our beautiful members had been spreading the word about the pineapple, the United Art Space. And by the end of the show, everyone knew the pineapple crew. It was so adorable and so lovely. And what happened the next day was I did my visualization again. I journaled. And something interesting happened actually in my visualization the day before, when I started to imagine success, because I'm at this big show and there's lots of expensive artwork. I felt a bit like, I guess at the first day I was like a bit out of my comfort zone, a bit out of my depths. And I started to imagine that when I'm like this successful person, I'll be back there and I'll be that one of the people that buy art there. And something extraordinary happened then the next day, because I was talking to my friend Sharon about how I felt. And I said, I think it was, I'm sure it was the pineapple. I said it was wearing that pineapple totally changed how I felt about myself that day. And I was like totally in a zone. So we were talking about how that can transform you. And no word of a lie, this was at 9 a.m. 11 a.m., I'm sat in a room at Ceramic Art London. Sally takes the stage, Sally McDonnell, and starts to talk about her art. And the most extraordinary thing happened, because she said that her art always sports these, always has this kind of headdress, because she's seen the transformation in women in particular, but of course everyone, but this being a female representation, the transformation in people with a headdress or something on their head. And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally, and it hit me in the heart what she was saying, because I think what happened was it started to make me realize that, and this is no coincidence, this is 2 hours after I've had this realization. And I looked at Sharon, and Sharon's on the stage, and I was like, what's going on? And I completely and utterly resonated with Sally's words on a profound level. And what's so interesting about this, and what I've realized also about art, is the more we understand ourselves, the more we connect with ourselves and embrace the parts and start to find what gives us confidence, the more we connect with art too, our own art, but other people's art, in a profound way. And of course, we connect with art for all different reasons and in all different ways. And we don't need to have big, profound moments that brings us to tears. We can love something because of its texture, because the color makes us feel happy, you know. But this is like deeper, deeper, deeper levels. This is probably one of the first artworks I've ever bought that has literally like moved me in a really, really deep, profound way. So I went to share with Sally the story afterwards, and I said to Sally, do you mind if I just sit with your art and sit with it for a minute? And I kind of sat with every piece, and I knelt down on the floor because this one was lower, and came eyes to eyes. Oh, this one spoke to me massively, massively. Just the shape, the face. I literally felt moved when I looked at this piece. And then when I saw the pattern, those who know me know I do these spiral patterns. I'm obsessed with these spiral patterns. They come out in my own work. I've got a sculpture in the background with a spiral pattern. In fact, let's go and grab it. So, and I doodle, I zentangle spirals. And so I'm, obsessed with these patterns. And again, knowing that in my own art, so being a creative person that creates myself, was this other knowing, like, oh, this pattern is no coincidence. Wow, this is mine. I actually picked her up and I went, shit, I think this is my piece. And I actually felt really emotional. And I think the emotion came because I realized that how disconnected I was before, and how I really wasn't being myself, and I didn't feel myself. That's more of it. I didn't feel myself. And who'd have thought putting a pineapple fascinator on my head would have enabled me to feel that day? And the other crazy thing in all of this beautiful co-creation and unfolding and is the very, very process of play and being open to being playful in your work and in your life. And that very day of me going and picking a pineapple up to change up my story a little bit, to express something that I believe through a pineapple, has since evolved into something else and something else and something else, and then became this identity that we had at the weekend, that then led to me commissioning this, to led me using it on that day. Isn't that crazy? When you have the urge to do something and explore something, it might seem absurd. Do it. You don't need to know in that moment where it leads. Will it sell? Will this be good enough? Will this be seen as being weird? Embrace it. It's who you are. It's calling you for a reason, and it might impact you like it did with me. 5 years later became the most profound moments of my life in relation to buying an artwork, all because I picked a pineapple up off the shelf years ago. Isn't that mind-blowing? And the fact also with the pineapple was this incredible connection we all have, becoming known. And then this piece, which I now call Ginormica, because of the visualizations that I've had of myself growing. And actually, I forgot to bring my journal, but I Googled the relevance of Ginormica and how the character in that movie that I referenced earlier, Aliens versus Monsters, how Ginormica was this timid woman before who lacked confidence, and growing as a giant gave her her sense of purpose, and she became powerful, and she became smart and courageous and funny, and started to actually really embody who she is as this person that stood out from everyone else. And that to me is what this represents, is this being utterly yourself and owning that, and the significance of this bringing those parts out of confidence. So it's been a massive lesson of so many parts here, of understanding myself, of being playful, of knowing that with every mark you make, with every interaction you make, the dots are going to add up in some way the more you bring it back to yourself and who you are and what brings you joy and what makes you feel something. And that's what I absolutely love about this whole story. So quickly, as I wrap up, I'm going to just quickly talk about the show. It was incredible. There were so many amazing ceramic artists there. Lots of people talking about their process, why they make being so important, which is what I always talk about, that understanding of self and understanding of what you want to say through your work and having that confidence. And I think that's one of the things that I really noticed at the show was the artists that I spoke to anyway, exhibiting, had a real understanding of what their art represents and how it relates and who they are, and a confidence in what they do, and it shows. And this ever evolving part of that, though, they haven't just arrived here, they're on a journey. And I found that incredibly inspiring this weekend at Ceramic Art London. And just want to say a massive shout out to Sally McDonnell and also to my friend Sharon for introducing me to this world of ceramics and being by my side at that event. She's such an amazing human. And then also to end on Alexandra Breeze, one of our members, who created a beautiful art piece of our members' houses. So in my book, Your Art Matters, I talk about creating an art village, a village of people around you who support you, inspire you, other artists. They might be buyers, but it's people in your world, people who get you, people who understand your art. And art world is intimidating for some people, so art village is much more holistic. And Alexandra created this beautiful piece and reached out to members of our community and got photographs of their houses and created these tiles in this beautiful kind of montage collage of houses, ceramic houses. And what was really interesting about that was we know each other by facial recognition, and we don't see each other's houses because we're virtual. We don't know each other on a personal level in that way. And it was just so amazing to see another layer of each other's studios, houses that we don't see, but that's such an identity. It's such a personal reference point. There are safe spaces there in this artwork, and it was absolutely wonderful. We'll drop a picture of that below if you want to see it. It was fantastic. So yeah, I've just come away from this weekend absolutely blown away by our community, by the love, by support, by everything, by art. It's just off the scale. Have a wonderful week, my friends, and I'll catch you next week.